Hello everyone, this is SFC Spectacular from G1 Bell, and I cover all things Masterpiece, Transformers, and G1, and everything in between. Welcome to my review of MP52 KO Starscream. Okay, so let's get into this. First of all, I want to talk about Starscream as a character a little bit. His alt mode is a Boeing F-15 Eagle fighter jet, and the official MP52, I guess, is licensed by the company. Alright, I know people like to look at the box and all that stuff, but I didn't get too many pictures of the box for this video because I really don't care about that. But in future reviews, if I do another one, let me know. Do you like the box? Do you want me to show the box off? But let's move on. Alright, so accessories. This thing has quite a few accessories. And that's the one thing, I mean, I kind of like it, but I don't like that because it's like it got so much stuff. And I'm pretty sure takara fans or haters know that all this stuff is just the overpriced and overhyped. So let me go down the things we do have for the accessories. So first off, you have the flight stand, which is big and you think it'd be useful, but I'll get into that later. You get two no rays, the claw hand with the dookie turd thing. You get the drill bit, 5 alternate faces, a Megatron gun, a couple of blast effects, and thrusters. But as for me, although he has all these accessories, I won't be using many of them outside of the no rays, the Megatron gun, the thruster effects, and perhaps on occasion the flight stand. So let's do some size comparisons. We got those fellow Decepticons old Megatron, and in my Transformers world, old Megs likes to have a cold brewski every now and again, so that's why he's got that in his hand. Let's get him up there with the old Masterpiece Soundwave. And finally, let's pick him up here with a fellow Seeker Conehead variety thrust. And I left this footage in right here because, as you can see, this is as much of a vast improvement on the feet the past figures, as the thrust is built on MP11 frame or mold, as you would call it. So you see, it's very difficult getting this guy to stand up and cooperate with his tiny little jacked up feet. Now MP52's feet is a little bit jacked up too, but way better. And on my copy being a KO, the feet do have the Michael Jackson leaning Annie are you okay smooth criminal feet. So yeah, that is going on. Now as I go along in this review, I am going to be comparing a couple things to MP03 and MP11, as I owned both of those previously, but I gave those away, like I mentioned before, to my little brother. Once I got MP52, I don't like placeholders and all that. I don't aim for that. I try to aim for the robot I like, and just get that. In the future something comes out, then I'll do that. Oh, so let's talk about this stand, which is kind of trash in my opinion, because most of the screws are loose. In most reviews I've seen of the stand, it's hard to position. But the thing I hate the most about the new flight stand is that it's so large and it's practically inusable. Is that a word? Unusable?
Motherfucker, do you speak it?
In robot mode. So I really don't care for this stand. Now at the time of writing this video, I didn't think I would go into articulation, but I think after thinking about it, I think it's very important, because that's the reported reason I got this guy, because he's more articulated than his previous incarnations of MP3 and MP11. So let's start at the head. So his head's on a ball joint, swivels around, he can look up and down, he can extend it and look all the way up. Face fell off. He can extend that head and look all the way up. He can look all the way down. His arms on a ratchet, I believe they call these things. I'm still learning these terminologies, so bear with me. Elbows are double jointed. And one of the things I like the most, his hands are individually articulated. Now on his previous incarnations they were too, but not to the level of this. And his hand does an in and out motion. Right, moving on to his legs, he can get about a 90-degree bend, and on the knee it can go a little bit further past 90. He has no waist swivel, as we should all know if you've been hearing about MP52, but he does have a vicious ab crunch. Do that ab work, boy. Get your sit-ups right and kiss me. I'm sorry, I got a little track there. So I'm not going to transform this thing on camera, as it is really involved, and that's part of the reason I didn't really like this figure or Crimson Wings. But let me say this about the transformation. The way those wings fold and compact into his back, pure trash in my opinion, because I can see that breaking. I've also heard reports about the ankle and feet breaking, and a couple of tabs, and the tail fin. Now, I already had an MP03 Starscream in my possession, along with an MP11T Thundercracker. So why get a new one? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's go to some of the differences between those two modes. So it's not a simple choice to make, although I love his alt mode of MP03. His robot mode was pure crap, and I think we can all agree on that. The compromise became MP52. So let's talk about some of the things he had. As you can see in jet mode, MP03 had so much effort put in on being a jet first. There's a lot of accuracies. You got the nose cone, the air brake, the rear thruster area, the landing gear, opening cockpit. A lot of stuff on that first model was great. But the problem, like I said before, is Takara concentrate on the jet mode. Now, MP52 has a lot of the same working functions and gimmicks that other past jet modes have had, such as the opening cockpit and the landing gear, which is way better than previous modes, and the radar dish. But what I don't hear a lot of people talk about is one of my favorite things: the air brake is missing. I know, minor for some people, but compromises the jet mode for me. But look at that underside. I think that's what really did it when I first saw this thing. You can clearly see there's a robot under there. Now, I can let it go because better transformation than the last ones and a better robot mode, but that is unsightly at times. So that's what bothers me about MP52. A quick little side note before we move into the robot mode. I had no idea the size of the new Megatron gun, but it is about I think a third of the original gun. Not sure sizes here. And also, it cannot have its attachments detach, a la the one that came with MP03. All right? And being a KO, this gun doesn't quite fit in my MP52's hands properly, so I'm going to have to finagle that and make it work. And here's a quick look at the null rays, the missiles that came with MP03, and how they changed them on MP52. Now you just smartly convert the missile payload to a null ray. Voila. So let's wrap this up by talking about the real reason I got this thing, and MP52's robot mode, which is vastly superior to MP03. And as a robot, MP03 and MP11 just did not hold up well. As you saw earlier, that thrust figure was falling over because of the feet were weak as hell. Floppy body parts, it had no ab crunch, it did have a waist swivel, MP11, and the previous robot modes were horrible. It just didn't deliver. We can all agree that MP52 Starscream appears to leap off your TV screen. Very good mode for his robot. I mean, you may ask yourself, why did you get MP52 over Deformation Space DS01 Crimson Wings? Besides that long ass name, whew, mouthful. Mostly Crimson Wings' transformation rubbed me the wrong way, and his scale relative to other Decepticons, he was too tall. So I like to stick to that height chart if I can. Didn't like it either, just overall, the transformation. Although Crimson Wings has a waist swivel, I'm one of those guys who's bothered by that lower cockpit area that breaks the plane when it turns. So I don't like that. Now I will put up a few pros and cons that I like about this figure overall. Let's hit up the pros first. The jet mode is pretty good and doesn't flop around like the older versions. Holds together nicely. The robot mode is impeccable and nails that cartoon feel. Vastly better articulation than its predecessors. The new null ray armaments are great, and the null rays overall, the way they transform, the way they look, everything is great about those. I like the accessories, but I won't be using those blast effects, and it's a bit much of them, but it's nice to have those choices. The new Megs guns is better molded and fits in most Masterpiece Transformers hands besides MP52, even though it won't fit in my KO. The new landing gear is vastly superior to the older mode. As for those cons, the jet mode is cartoon accurate, but I prefer the alt mode to be realistic, i.e. MP03. The jet mode has full parts, the cockpit area, and I did a whole video on why I don't like those. I'll probably link those down below or up above this video. The transformation process doesn't do it for me. Those wings are butt crack, but everything else I can deal with. I don't like the new flight stand. The new way Meg's gun attaches under Starscream renders the flight stand useless. The new Meg's gun attachment doesn't come off. That's very minor, personal preference. And this Starscream has less vehicle gimmicks than the previous versions like MP03 and MP11 mode, such as the air brake, the thruster bays, blah blah blah. So Also, I don't hear people talk about there's no pilot included with this thing. Fine again, but I'd like to have one. So that concludes this for this review. I hope I did a good job. Leave me some comments down below. Let me know if you want to see more like this. Yeah, I'll do some more. But until next time, guys, thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.